Welcome to the Smarter Science of Slim, the scientifically proven program where you eat more and exercise less to burn fat and boost health.
Eat smarter, exercise smarter, live better. I am so ready for that.
Hey everyone, Jonathan Baylor and Carrie Brown coming at you with another Smarter Science of Slim podcast. Carrie, how are you today?
Hello everyone. I'm doing just fine, thank you.
I had a weird sort of inflection in my voice in that intro there. I'm not sure what happened.
There's always something a little weird about you, Jonathan. But we love you anyway.
Fair. Well, thank you, Carrie. I appreciate that. This week we will continue with lovely reader questions. And readers, please remember, post your questions in the Smarter Science of Slim support group, not in individual emails or individual Facebook messages. Because
we get too many, we lose track, we can't keep up.
Well, and we want to make sure that other people, if they have the same question, can find answers publicly. So please let others benefit from your wonderful questions. Post them in the support group, like John W., for example. John W. says that he was listening to an interview that I did with Dr. Furhman, and sounded like Dr. Furhman holds a low opinion of animal products. Then he asks, from my research, does Dr. Furhman's advice to reduce animal product consumption, regardless of quality, hold any merit? He says he eats a lot of animal products, whatever level he said, approximately 10%, I believe, is a big leap for me. So, at its root, Dr. Joel Furhman, gentleman who I have had on the show, and actually will have back on the show, is very well respected, brilliant man. He recommends a diet with sub 10% animal products. I think it's actually, yes, that is, I think, in the ballpark. And what is our thoughts on that, Carrie? Would you like me to tell you my thoughts?
My thoughts are, I hope you're not going to tell me I have to eat less bacon.
Fair. So one thing to keep in mind, and actually Carrie and I were just talking about this, is the point of the bonus podcasts that we have is when we look at the way 95+% of the Western world eats, it's killing them. Mm-hmm. It is literally killing them, and I believe it is the single biggest problem the Western world faces, because if we're all sick, what else matters, right? So when you look at any guest who comes on Smarter Science of Slim podcast, you'll notice that all of their recommended approaches to eating are saner than the standard American diet.
And we are after progress, not perfection.
Exactly. And even people who come on to talk about exercise, you'll notice that their exercise recommendations are smarter than the mainstream exercise recommendations. They may not be ours, and I wouldn't expect them to be ours because they're not us. So keep in mind, folks, that we're just trying to show you the diversity of options out there. We're trying to show you that, again, just like there's not one outfit that fits best for everyone, certainly there are key characteristics of outfits that tend to look good on people. For example, wearing your pants on your legs and your shirts on your torso is generally better than doing it the other way around. And in the Smarter Science Slim, remember also, sane is about saying you can be sane vegetarian. You can be sane vegan, you can be sane paleo, you can be sane low carb, you can be sane South Beach. It's just about saying however you choose to eat, here's how to evaluate the quality of your foods, make the highest quality choices possible. So specific to your question about Dr. Furhman recommends a diet predicated on nutrient density, and he includes nutrients such as phytonutrients that are found only in plants as a critical component of that. He also has some beliefs about the hormone IGF-1 in cancer that my research does not agree with. So because of that, that leads him to the conclusion that your diet should be 90% plus plant-based. Now, a 90% plant-based diet can absolutely be sane. And we all know that a perfect sane diet is a plant-based diet because the vast majority of food you're eating will be plants. Non-starchy vegetables, whole food fats coming from plants, as well as low fructose fruits. The vast majority of your plate should be plants. Does it have to be 90% plants? No. Like Carrie said, we're after progress rather than perfection. But a sane diet is a plant-based diet And if you want to eat a completely plant-based diet and be a vegetarian or a vegan, you can do that sanely. If you want to do a Furhman Nutritarian diet, which is 90% plant-based, you can do that sanely too. Hopefully that helps.
I'd like to talk about something quite exciting for just a minute.
Thus implying that what we just talked about is not exciting?
No, that's very exciting too, but this is kind of big news.
Okay.
And I'm not suggesting for 1 minute that we should all go out and eat at this restaurant, but
okay.
My point is that we are making noise and it is being noted, because I read today that McDonald's are changing their burger recipe.
Wow.
Because they've got so much heat about the whole pink slime, nitrogen, this isn't fit for human consumption unless we wash it in nitrogen, that they have actually changed the recipe now. They have upgraded their burgers.
Nice.
And as I say, not suggesting we all run down to McDonald's. My point is, we need to keep going because we are making a difference.
That's awesome. That's really awesome.
Big companies like McDonald's are paying attention.
I love it. So, John, hopefully to answer your question, I love Dr. Furhman's work. I think the vast majority of Americans and everyone else in the world would be dramatically healthier if they ate the way Dr. Furhman prescribes. Is it exactly the same as what we prescribe? Nope. Might it work better for you? Yes. Let's use sanity as a framework, and let's find what works for us individually.
Yay.
I love it. All right. Next, from Natalie, and I don't know how to say her last name. Do you know how to say that?
Dreas? And of course, I would say Natalie, but anyway.
Well, and Carrie, why don't you? Because actually, this is a question for you.
Oh, it is?
It is.
Oh, my. Oh, and you love our podcast. Thank you, Natalie. So Natalie just made my peanut butter chicken salad.
Delicious.
And she said it was fabulous. And it was so delicious, she'll be making it again.
Woo!
But she thought that there was something lacking. And in her world, there was some spice lacking. So I guess she means some heat.
Yes. Spice it up.
That she likes her food spicy, and that dish resembled Asia cuisine. So she kept thinking that it would be hotter.
Like she wanted it more like 3 to 5 stars.
Okay,
rather than 0 stars.
So her question is, what would be my suggestions of spices to add to this dish without ruining it?
SANE spices.
Oh dear.
Oh yeah.
So here's the problem.
British cooking is generally not very spicy.
Here's the problem. I have a heat tolerance of 0. So I am absolutely not the right person to answer this question. Ooh. How sad is that?
Well, Carrie, that we might have to do like a special post or contest to be like, what are the optimal SANE spices?
Yes.
You might need to find some collaborators.
Yes, I may, because I am not, I actually cannot answer you.
So Carrie will be on the lookout for some spicy collaborators.
Yes, that's what I need.
And in the meantime, if you're just lazy and boring like me, I just get the crushed red pepper from Costco and put it on everything. So, everything which
Ever the assembler.
Ever the assembler. Glorious. Carrie Brown, coming up next, a question from, oh my gosh, Ashley, I'm so sorry. Ashley
Grundle,
or Grondell, depending on where she's from in the country. And she says that she loves our podcast, which is very kind of her.
Thank you.
And she's curious, what brand, in all caps, she's very serious about the brand, what brand of protein powder do we recommend?
We have one. I use one.
So there's a couple. If you have well, backing up, remember, protein powder is always secondary to whole foods. So
yes.
We're always using protein powder because we can't eat whole food nutrient-dense protein, because we would always prefer whole food nutrient-dense protein to protein powder. That said, if you want to do protein powders, brand, if you're going whey or casein, Beverly International is the only brand of any kind of supplement I use consistently. There's Optimum Nutrition, which also has pretty good whey protein. You can also get some from Costco. Again, remember the key thing to keep in mind is just if you're doing a whey protein, ensure that it has very, very little sugar. A lot of things call themselves protein powders, which are really just sugar powders. So literally the sugar to protein ratio or the protein to sugar ratio should be almost 10 to 1, meaning a 30 grams of protein should be coming with 0 to max of 5 grams of sugar. And if you want to stick with more plant-based, pea, hemp, and rice are fine, but something that Carrie and I have been enjoying very much, which is a wonderful hybrid of quote-unquote protein powder and whole foods, because it's minimally processed, is
powdered egg whites.
Powdered egg whites. Amazing. Carrie, talk to us about powdered egg whites.
They're awesome.
That's all. So, well, folks, just really quickly.
You can reconstitute them. You can make them into liquid egg whites, or you can use them like you would use a whey protein powder by adding them to smoothies. So you can use them either as a powder, or you can reconstitute them into eggs or egg whites. And you can do with them, once they're reconstituted, you can use them exactly like an egg that you just cracked. You can whip them, you can cook them, you can do whatever with them.
And here's what's another thing that's glorious about powdered egg whites is it gets to the point that we have gotten some flack for in the past, Carrie, about like, why do you recommend egg whites? Are you afraid of fat? And obviously, we are not afraid of fat.
No.
But an egg white, like if you were trying to eat a protein powder, and I told you that this powder was 35% protein, you would say, Jonathan, that's not a very good protein powder if it's only 35% protein. Well, if you powder an egg, the powder...
Egg white.
No. If you powder an egg, the powder would be 35% protein. If you powder the white of an egg, it's 91% protein.
Right. So
when we talk about egg whites, one, you can just use them in recipes for whatever reason. But if you're looking for protein, yes. An egg is a good source of fat. An egg white is a great source of protein. And Carrie's done some amazing things with them in her recipes. And it's incredibly convenient. And it's incredibly cost-effective.
It is incredibly cost-effective. Jonathan and I are both getting them from Honeyville Farm is where we get them. And in one number 10 size can, you get the equivalent of 255 eggs. And
Boom.
It's under $30.
Yes.
255 eggs for, it's incredibly cost-effective way. And if you run out of eggs, you'll never run out of egg white powder. You can just make it up right there in your kitchen,
and you don't have to worry about. I mean, it has some of the glories of some of the convenience foods that we don't eat when we're going sane. It's in your cupboard. It's always there. It doesn't go bad. It's cheap. You don't need to do really anything to prepare it. And Carrie, Carrie found a discount where you can buy these crates of these things, and you're literally talking getting the protein of an egg white for a penny, like 2 pennies. It's absurd.
Yeah,
we love them.
We do. I'm now will be creating more and more recipes. I'm trialing baked goods with powdered egg white instead of, or as well as, whey protein, because there are going to be some differences, so I will probably have to recreate the recipes. So you can either use the version with whey protein, or you can use the one with powdered egg whites. They won't be interchangeable, but I'm working on that now. And this is particularly brilliant for people who want sane baked goods, but they can't do dairy, because obviously whey, they can't have that because of the dairy. So I will be producing baked goods that don't have the whey protein powder in, but they still are very high in protein. So that's coming soon.
Honestly, folks, this discovery of there's always been egg white powders out there, but what I like so much about this is with any supplement, in quotations, whey protein, rice protein, hemp protein, traditional supplement forms of egg white protein, mean, there's so much just marketing and hype and gimmickry and blah 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 blah. But this egg white protein that Carrie and I are talking about, it's not sexy at all. It comes in this freaking food services drum.
Yes. Sexy it is not, but cheap and effective, most definitely.
And it's just egg whites and an anti-caking agent. Yep. So it is, especially like if you don't like artificial sweeteners, it's really hard to find a whey or a casein or really any other kind of protein powder that isn't sweetened with some sort of artificial sweetener.
So that's a good thing to know if you are switching out, or if you're one of the people that can't or don't want to have whey. If you're doing my smoothie recipes, you can switch out the same amount for powdered egg whites, but you will need to add some xylitol or stevia if that's what you use. You will have to add some sweetener because they don't. The sweetness will be off once you've switched out the whey for powdered egg white.
And just to reiterate that, I know there's people that do things like put whey protein in their coffee to sweeten it. Again, if you just put egg whites in your coffee, it will be disgusting. Because part of the reason the whey tastes good is they've put a lot of intellectual property into putting flavors into the whey that make it taste good. This is just unflavored. It's
right.
just egg whites. Like
right.
It's as if you cracked eggs and put them in your coffee. Right. So probably don't want to do that.
Yeah. However, they work great. It would work great in a smoothie.
Absolutely.
You'll just have to alter the sweetness with whatever your preferred SANE sweetener is.
Yet another example of how sanity can be amazingly convenient and amazingly affordable.
Yay!
Yay!
We love that.
So Ashley,
great
Rondel,
question.
Thank you for that question because you inspired us to cover something we've been wanting to cover for a while, but sometimes we forget.
Yes, we do.
All right. Next question is a fairly long question, so I'm going to try to condense it down. And anything, dear listeners, that you could do to keep your questions a little bit longer, have mercy on us. Carrie and I are here in the booth, and if you write a 3-paragraph question, we're like trying to read it and speak to it at the same point. But here we go. Bev Solowski.
Good job.
Well, the reason I can say that, Carrie, is because I am Polish.
There we go.
And my last name used to be Białkowski, but my grandfather had to change it because when he came over to this country...
They couldn't say it.
No, they didn't like Polish people where he lived, and he needed to make it sound different. So my name is now Baylor, but Baylor, Bailor, is actually a made-up name. It's supposed to be Białkowski. That's why most people whose last name is Baylor is Baylor, because Baylor is just made up. So,
well, there we are. We both have made-up names. How about that? Yet another point of connection for Jonathan and I.
Point of connection. Yeah, we were talking about the other day, total sidetrack. We're like, what is the chance that Carrie and I so I do all this research. Carrie is a chef and a food photographer. So, it's like, that's just glorious. Anyway, we're sharing the goodness with you listeners, and we're happy to, we had a moment of zen recently. We're just like, man, things are kind of falling into place a little bit. So that's pretty cool. Anyway, we're working hard.
Bev, let's talk about Bev.
Bev, the awesome fellow Pole, Bev Solowski, says she's been doing the eccentric exercise. She's a bit confused about the cardio information in the book, which is, again, folks, sadly out of print, but the Calorie Myth is glorious and coming soon. You can actually pre-order it now. Right now, I ride a bike like you explained for 10 minutes, and then I do my eccentric weight routine. Okay, so that right there, Bev, we can help you already. Do I need to do the cardio? Should I do the cardio on a separate day? Also, after my eccentric weight training, I'm not really sore, just slightly sore. How much weight should I increase at a time? So lots of questions. But back up. Beth, first thing you said is that on one day, you ride the bike for 10 minutes and then you do your eccentric weight routine. So if you're doing the smarter interval training correctly, and Carrie can speak to this, when you finish...
There's no way you can do the rest of it.
Yeah, so you are definitely not supposed to do these two things on the same day. And in fact, if you can, with all the love in the world, it's an indication that you are nowhere near the level of exertion you need to be at to achieve these metabolic benefits.
So you need to increase the resistance on that bike a lot You need to, the resistance needs to be such that you cannot push the pedals and remain seated on the bike. The only way you can push those pedals around is to stand up. That's how hard it needs to be.
And if you've ever seen, this is two analogies, which we're about telling the truth here, not about sugarcoating things. So I'm going to tell the truth. Remember, the benefit you get from exercise is proportional to the effort you put into it. And if you can consolidate that effort into short bursts that are safe, you'll get dramatically more benefit. So when we want people to understand the level of intensity we're talking about, there's two things. When someone walks up a steep hill and they're like out of breath and they're like, man, that was hard work. That's not hard work.
Yeah, that's not
hard work. So if you've ever seen someone like doubled over who can't really breathe, that person just experienced hard work. Or if you've ever given birth, that, from what I've been told, is extremely hard work. So not that you need to feel like you're giving birth or that level of exertion every time you exercise, but understand that, like, on a scale of 1 to 10, I would imagine that giving birth is probably the closest thing we can all visualize to be a 10 on the exertion scale, and sleeping is a 0. What most people think is hard is probably like a 5, maybe. So remember, we're only asking you to exercise for 10 to 20 minutes per week. But for that to work, and for that to work better than any amount of lower intensity exercise, it's got to be a 9. It's got to be a 9. Otherwise, you're just exercising less. You're not exercising less, but smarter. And that's really key. So, Bev, we've got to encourage you to increase the intensity at which you're doing the bike. And once you do that, you'll be so sore that you will not even question whether or not you should be doing the eccentric exercises, because you won't be physically able to do them on the same
By
day.
the time you get to the 5th, the last rep on the bike, you will literally almost not be able to push the pedals round, even standing up for that last 30 seconds.
And if you need, and this is, I should have recommended this a long time ago now that I think about it. Sorry, folks, I'm learning as we go here, doing the best we can. If you want to really experience what intensity feels like, it may be worthwhile to go down to your local gym, and almost every gym I've ever been to offers one free personal training session. Now, you're going to have to sit through a sales spiel, and they're going to try to sell you more personal training, which may not be the worst thing in the world if they're a good personal trainer. But ask them to, on a stationary bike or on some sort of non-impact cardiovascular machine, help you get as close to your maximal heart rate as you possibly can. Because one, for a lot of us, that's just not something we're really able to do on our own. It's just foreign to us, and it may not even be a good idea for us to do it without some additional instruction. But if you get a personal trainer and you say, I want to know what it feels like to get to my maximum heart rate, just all out, will you, in an hour, help me experience that feeling? That for a personal trainer, that's a walk in the park. So that might be a good idea. So you can at least feel and then take that feeling and understand that you need to emulate it on your own moving forward. Make sense?
Makes perfect sense.
Bev, thank you for the excellent question. Very, very helpful. Hopefully our answer was helpful to you. And I salute you in your Polishness. We are united. We talked about eccentric exercise, pushing ourselves safely and intensely. We talked about Joel Furhman and how he's glorious.
Yes.
And how our goals, as Carrie says, is progress.
Oh, that, yes.
It is
progress, not perfection.
Exactly. So the guests we bring on the Smarter Science of Slim podcast obviously are not going to be talking exactly sane, because there's only two people in the world that talk exactly sane, and you're talking to them right now.
Although you may not think so, listening to some of them.
But they are certainly saner, and that's what we're about here. Carrie's going to figure out how to make her recipes sane and spicy simultaneously.
Yes.
Alliteration, sane and spicy simultaneously.
And then I suppose I should issue a call for taste testers because my spice tolerance is 0, so I'll have to actually have some other people come to taste them.
That's right. We should get some pictures up on Facebook of Carrie like trying the spicy food and being like, "Oh my god!" And then, of course, our new best friend, egg white powder, folks. It's been a pleasure as always. Eat more, exercise less, do it smarter. We'll see you next week.
See ya.
Wait, don't stop listening yet.
You can get fabulous free SANE recipes over at carriebrown.com.
And don't forget your 100% free eating and exercise quick start program, as well as free, fun, daily tips delivered right into your inbox at baylorgroup.com. That's BAILOR group.com.